Hey guys, this is Tom Bucks. Welcome to MST.TV, and this video is sponsored by Konami. And what you're looking at right now is the New York Comic Con exclusive game mat. Oh my god, this thing, to say that it is lit is an understatement. This thing is on fire. And by the end of this video, it is going to someone. Could be me. But what is going to one of you guys in the audience is actually a brand new packaged one, which will be available in the sponsored message. The giveaway is in there. Pay attention. There's a lot of prizes going on for this video, so stay tuned for that. If you guys didn't know, Attack of the Giant card is coming up, and it's available at New York Comic Con. No badges required, alright guys? Now, do you want to win a new giant winged dragon of Raw? Do you want to play some Yu-Gi-Oh? Or maybe catch a new shiny obelisk? Or even a Jinzo? And by shiny obelisk, I obviously mean Egyptian god slime, of course. Now, to do it, you guys are going to need a remote duel setup to join the remote duel extravaganza events. And Tombok Sensei here is going to show you how to do it, whether it be the Yugi way or the Kaiba way, and I'll also go over all the techie stuff that you're going to need to know to actually get the smoothest experience as close to real life as possible. And well, but first, a Winged Dragon Raw playmat giveaway. You guys can sign up for the New York Comic Con MCM Metaverse game mat prize pack in the Gleam link down in the description below. All you gotta do is be a subscriber, follow the instructions, and have a US or Canada shipping address. But that's not the only way you guys can get your hands on that beautiful mat. You guys can take a trip to the digital retail counter where you guys can pick up your own copy of the New York Comic Con MCM Metaverse exclusive game mat featuring Winged Dragon of Raw for $30 US. And plus shipping plus tax while supplies last. Let me tell you guys one thing about Comic Con mats is that these are hot items. Make sure you guys get your trigger fingers ready and click as fast as possible. And remember, shipping to Canada and US only. Where's the store, you may ask? Well, remember, Konami is participating in this virtual event as an exhibitor, so you guys can visit their virtual exhibit and find them at findthemetaverse.com. That's right, findthemetaverse.com. And there's going to be information and even activities for you guys to actively participate in, such as, for those of you guys who are itching for a duel, New York Comic Con MCM Metaverse, Konami Digital Entertainment US, and with the help of Shadow Realm Games, players are able to enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! At the safety of their own homes. There's actually going to be a lot of tournaments going on for public events. That's right, you guys are going to be able to win legit prizes here. We're talking about some of these exclusive mats from a variety of events, from Attack of the Giant cards, which is, well, the giant card prizing, of course. There's also going to be a structure deck format. There's going to be win-a-mat format. There's even going to be speed duels, duel links. There's a ton of events going on. Make sure you guys sign up for the ones that you want. I'll provide links down in the description, but you can find more of this information also at findthemetaverse.com at the Konami booth as well. For those of you who are fans of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters anime, there's going to be a voice actor panel, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters Reunion. The link is down in the description. That is happening on October 11th at 7:05 p.m. And now this is Eastern time, so make sure you guys adjust your clock. And of course, the New York Comic Con Yu-Gi-Oh! Virtual Token booth is available as well. It's always popular at conventions, and you guys can personalize your own token cards at the comfort of your own home. And if you guys are lucky, maybe you'll be able to win a physical copy of your token. That's actually going to be really cool. Good luck for those of you guys signing up for that sweepstake. All you got to do is share it on social media, and you have a chance to actually win your token. So yeah, that token booth is going to be available there. Limit 2 per person. And with so much going on, make sure you guys check it all out. So when Remote Duel first came out, I was a little skeptical at first of how it's actually all going to play out, but I gave it an honest try, and I worked with my own channel members to set up an experience since we had to, play at a distance anyway. And to be honest with you guys, it actually gets pretty close to the real thing. But it does require both players to have a decent setup. And without the decent setup, it could be like one side gets a better experience than the other. And we want to kind of take that away. So I'm going to show you guys 2 different kinds of setup. One is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Way, which is the one right behind me right now in my living room. And the other one is in my office, which is the one that I typically do for making Yu-Gi tubing videos. So looking at the very first one here, we have the gooseneck setup plus webcam. I highly recommend a webcam over a phone camera because the phone can run out of battery, it can ruin your experience, and it's just the way it is. Now, one thing to note about using a gooseneck is that you should probably get a shelving unit that raises it a little bit higher, because A lot of the goosenecks are just not tall enough. I highly recommend getting the tallest one or the longest one possible, just so that you can get a proper top-down angle. Getting that top-down angle is super important because you're going to be looking through the opposing screen, and if you can look through the opposing screen in the perfect most angle, it will look like they are sitting directly across from you. Now you might see that my current screen here, it is upside down, which is actually a good thing because that's the image that you're going to be sending to your opponent, and because you're sending that to your opponent, it will feel like they are sitting across from you, and you want them to send you the exact same image. You probably don't want to look at the field in the same way that you play yourself, because that's not the actual field that you see in real life, and therefore the upside downness is pretty important. But this is a pretty easy setup. All it requires is a gooseneck. You probably need a shelving unit to do it, but this one requires the least amount of space. You can probably move your computer away if there's just not enough space, but overall this is probably the easiest setup available. And I guess there is one more thing people are going to need, and that is a microphone. You're gonna need to be able to talk to your opponent. Hopefully you have a decent one. I know most webcams come with one. It's not exactly the best one, but it could be better than the one that is built in. If you have a microphone separately, or if you have it as a part of your webcam, I guess use whatever that is best so that your opponent can get a clear audio of what you are playing. And onto the Kaiba setup. The Kaiba setup starts with a new separate microphone, of course. The separate microphone gives you much better audio than one coming from a webcam or just one coming from a headset. So I start with that. You don't have to have this step. It's just my personal preference, and that's my setup. Second part here is the camera setup. Now you don't have to use a capture card plus like a camera here. You can just use a webcam, that's completely fine, but this is just my setup that I already have already. So there is the camera, the adapter mount, and this is a boom arm to help me get that top-down angle, and this boom arm is attached to a C-stand. A C-stand here, it just goes all the way down. This is my C-stand named Yugi, going all the way down to, well, basically the legs right there, this triple prong legs. Now, not everyone has a giant space to kind of take up a giant C-stand. It just eats up quite a bit of space. There are tinier versions, which is the little brother right here, which is a microphone, telescoping microphone stand with a boom arm. So very similar. Now, one key thing to note is that for the C-stand or any of the microphone equipment is that the threading here, like that comes with the default head here, only works for microphones. It does not work for cameras. Cameras have a different adapter mount, an adapter thread, so that you can actually mount onto it. So you're going to need an adapter for it to convert that so that you can use it with your camera. And that's how we actually get that set up. And a lot of the webcams that we see today, they have a base for mounting onto tripods. And this is the same thing as a tripod mount, the same threading, and therefore you can get that top-down angle very easily and very cleanly. You know what? I'm going to open this one up just so that you guys can get a clear look at it. Okay, to demonstrate how to put this whole thing together, I have the thread adapter, I have the webcam, and I have, well, the telescopic mic stand with a boom arm attachment. So with that, let's start off with the thread adapter. All you gotta do is screw it in, because the webcam itself won't actually fit with this particular thread setting. It's just too big and it's just not going to work out. You're gonna need this thread setting instead, so that this particular camera can actually fit in. This is the same as most tripods. And next we're going to set up, well, the height and adjust everything. It's actually quite simple. There's multiple fasteners all around, and let's start off with the height. If you want to adjust the height, the bottom one, you just twist it and you can rise it. Just say that this was my right height that I needed, and I can just fasten it so that it doesn't come crashing down. Make sure you fasten every single part, or else things might get damaged. Now be very careful when you lift the T-bar, just so that you don't hit anything, because it has quite a long boom arm, and there's fasteners on each side. So this one has it right here. And I guess I can lift it up and I can tighten it. Now I've already loosened this particular joint already, and what I can do here is I can push it forward now that we are basically parallel or to the table. And that is basically the setup for that part, and then you just fasten it so that it doesn't move anymore. Now this also controls the rotation of this bar, so the tighter it is, the less likely it's going to move. And be very careful about the legs. It's highly recommended that you have the leg, well, you have a leg pointing in the direction of where the weight is. So in this case, if I have too much weight, it will fall over like that, and that's no good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen it once more. I'm going to rotate the leg so that it is pointing in the direction. Because you don't want to, have your whole setup come crashing down mid-duel and need to call a judge and pause your duel. That's not very fun. And we're just gonna make sure that the ball joint here is completely perpendicular to the pole. Now it's facing down. And now I'm gonna grab the camera and I'm just going to move this here. I'm going to attach it now. There we go. And once it's tightened up, we have our camera. Make sure everything is tightened up. Plug this into your computer and you'll have a top-down piece ready to go. Okay, now we're on to the computer setup part of this whole tutorial here, and this is for both the Yugi and the Kaiba setup. So firstly, the first thing you need to do is to get your capture source. So this is currently in OBS, and OBS luckily can actually transfer whatever that's on OBS onto your Discord side, so you can actually give your screen to your opponent, and that's exactly what we're going to do. But starting off in the OBS side, get the capture source. I have my capture source as the capture card. You can create a new one, and I select the capture card for me, and it will be done. For you, you might have to create a new one and select the correct video source, and it'll generate your imagery right here. If you're lucky, you'll be perfectly straight on the first try. If you're not lucky, well, you're gonna have to fix it up, and in this case, I'm gonna have to fix it up a little bit. And luckily for me, I have a zooming lens so that I can actually fix the zooming amount. Now, first of all, I want to straighten it out. This part takes a little bit of time. Trust me, I've been through this many times, and I'm going to fix it up like that so it looks straight to my opponent. And I have my zooming opportunity to basically zoom it in so it gets as close as possible, and I can even move it over just a little bit. And that is the advantage of, say, the Kaiba setup. Whereas if you're using the Yugi setup with a gooseneck, that particular setup is going to require you to actually move your camera around until you hit the right angle, and it will take a little bit of time to adjust. But you don't need a perfect setup like this one. This one here, this is as close to the Remote Duel Invitational as we went through, because our setup was meant for live streaming, whereas yours may not need to, hit a perfect, straight line accuracy or anything along those lines. But this is what I have set up so far. The next thing that you need to know is that if I show my opponent this particular look, it's not going to be very helpful for them, because they're going to have to assume your board flipped upside down, and you can actually give that to them. And if you deliver the board completely flipped around, all you gotta do is hit right click onto your capture card selection, basically right onto the screen, and then just hit rotate 180 degrees. That's right, if you hit 180 degrees, this is exactly what you're going to see across the board. Whenever you're sitting across from your opponent, it's usually everything is upside down, and this is what they get to see. And when you actually port this particular screen onto the Discord side, when you share your screen with them, they will be able to see this board only. They won't see everything around it if they have the correct version, and all they will see is this upside down board, which is exactly what you want them to see on a full screen, that is perfect. Now I'm gonna just go back for a second just to talk about some other items that you may need for this, and I'm going to reset the transform so it's back to normal. One thing you may need is a play and pause card. You probably don't have an official one right away. If that's the case, just get a green card, or color a little card green and color a card in the back red, so that you can play and pause. And the pause side can be used to help call a judge over every now and then if your event has judges. Next, we have blank cards. What are these? You're going to need blank cards or something to proxy as a blank card to, say, take control of your opponent's monster, because someone could use a very popular option like Gamma Seal against your Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, and when they do that, they're going to need a monster to fill in. So what you do is grab a pen just right on top of the sleeve, whatever the monster name is, attack and defense stat, and you guys can assume what it is. And of course you can use Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron to kind of catch up on what those monsters are if you need additional stats with that as well. Now, one last thing to check on this before we move on to pushing your screen to the opponent, and I'll actually show you guys how that works, because I still have my living room setup still going on. So next thing we have to check is glare, because your opponent can't see. So one thing I typically do to make sure that the glare is at the minimal is, why don't we just deal a card into each of these zones? It doesn't really have to be the correct card right now, but I highly recommend using glossier sleeves rather than the matte ones, because the glossier ones won't diffuse the light, and if it doesn't diffuse the light, it's a little bit easier. So right now, all my zones are okay. And one thing to note is that because your extra monster zone is a little bit cut off here, your opponent can't really see the stats of the monsters very well, or can't even see the name of the card. It is highly recommended that when you do play in the extra monster zone, you pull it down a little so that they can see it. That way they know what's going on, and it's just a little bit easier for everyone, because having a card completely cut off, well, it makes it hard for someone to kind of keep up with what's going on. So moving it down a bit is probably appropriate for this particular situation, and just because it should be on the board for the people to see. And make sure you're talking very clearly against your opponent. And these are basically all the checks, and now I'm going to demonstrate how to send it to the other side, and hopefully I can actually capture that as well. Okay, so right here we are on Discord, and in a tournament fashion, there's usually a bunch of tables that are set up, and I believe this is actually one of the tables. This is the only table on this server, which I'm going to be using as a demonstration for you guys. So my wife is already on the other side. She's already has everything set up. She's streaming her table directly to me, and we've seen the Yugi setup already. So I'm gonna go ahead and join this only table, okay? And right now, what I am doing is, we can hear her and she can hear us. Hello, can you say something?
Hello.
Hello. And right now, you have your screen shared, and I currently cannot see it until I actually click directly into the voice channel. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually click on the voice channel, and it says watch stream because you're currently already streaming. However, I haven't been sharing my screen just yet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit share screen right here, down here, it's blinking. I'm going to hit share screen, and on application side, I am going to click on the OBS setup that I have, and I'm going to hit that, and I'm going to say go live. Right now, you should be able to see my table, correct?
What do you mean?
Do you see my table?
No, I only see my table.
To see my table, you're going to have to click away from your current table.
And then I hit watch stream.
Yes, you hit the watch stream button. I have a watch stream button as well, and I'm going to hit watch stream on your side, and I see your table.
And I see your table.
Correct. So this is my opponent's table, and what they see is this. So I'm going to step out of this current table view for a second. And I'm going, sorry, a little blink there. This is what my opponent sees right now. You see my board straight up, correct?
Yes.
That is not how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is played. So I'm going to flip mine around right now. Now it is correct. And if I full screen this, this is exactly what we were looking for. We're going to full screen it. And this is how we're supposed to remote do. You can see them in a full screen setting. You have your Messengelados and you have your Madolche Salons on the table. And you basically see my Dragon Link deck on the field right now. And that's basically how it is. And then we just play out our duel as is.
Yeah.
All right, so that is the full demo of how we actually get this setup done. All right, to close this one out, hopefully you guys learned a thing or two about setting up your own remote duel setup at home to join some of these upcoming events, especially the ones at NYCC, MCM Metaverse. And we have the remote duel extravaganza that is going on from Thursday all the way till Sunday. And Attack of the Giant card is a very big part of the event. I think to some people it might be considered as the main event for them, but there's also a lot of other side events as mentioned before. So make sure you guys go check it out, and don't forget to check out findthemetaverse.com and find Konami's booth at NYCC MCM. All right, guys, that's all I got for this video. If you guys enjoy it, smash the thumbs up button. If you guys want to see more stuff from myself, hit the subscribe, ding the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next one.